action against the president and the Postmaster General and the Postal Service. A couple of weeks ago, Connecticut was in the first group of states to sue the President of the United States and the Postmaster General and the United States Postal Service for the President and Postmaster General's intentional and purposeful undermining of the Postal Service and dismantling of the Postal Service so that it can't discharge its basic constitutionally mandated duty to deliver the mail on time and to be there for us in this upcoming election. And so Connecticut moved quickly with 13 other states in federal court in Washington state. We sought a preliminary injunction to stop the Postal Service from undertaking this action to dismantle its services and to undermine the Postal Service's ability to serve us and to be there for us in this election. And a little over an hour ago, a federal judge, Chief Judge Bastian, in the Eastern District of Washington, issued a nationwide injunction across the country, an injunction stopping the Postal Service from continuing to undermine itself and stopping the President and the Postmaster General from undermining the Postal Service and dismantling it. This is an important victory. Today, by the way, is Constitution Day. And this is an important victory on Constitution Day for our Constitution and the rule of law. And what it demonstrates is that our system of justice still continues to work, even in these troubled times, that actions by states and state attorneys general are the front and often the last line of defense against this president and his proxies. And that we have, as we have in the census case just last week, we won an important victory in the census case, on the public charge rule, on the Affordable Care Act, on so many cases. It's state attorneys general in states like Connecticut that are leading the way. And I'm very proud to have been a key leader in this coalition in this very first case against the president and the Postmaster General. Let me just summarize quickly what the judge held. So the judge issued a nationwide injunction which applies across the country. And what's important is that he found that the Postmaster General and the President were intentionally using the Postal Service for partisan political purposes, and that he found what the Postmaster General and the President are doing right now is a, quote, politically motivated attack on the Postal Service and our elections. The judge also noted, importantly, that fair and free elections depend on reliable mail service, that Congress intended to insulate the Postal Service from political influence, that in the past month alone, the President has personally attacked the Postal Service more than 70 times, and that 72% of the big mail machines, the high-speed mail machines that have been taken out of service, 72% of those are in places carried by Hillary Clinton in 2016. One of those mail machines is put out with the garbage not far from here on Weston Street in Hartford. I put eyes on it myself. I did a video that I distributed through social media a couple of weeks ago showing that machine. I have every reason to believe if you went there now, it's behind the Dunkin' Donuts on Weston Street, that machine is still there in pieces, utterly dismantled, as sort of a representation of what they're doing to the Postal Service. So this fight's not over. I expect the federal government, which has tremendous resources at its disposal, to continue this fight. But make no mistake that Connecticut is going to be there. We were there in the very first group of states, and we're going to be there every step of the way to defend our elections, our democracy, and to make sure the Postal Service does its job. And with that, be happy to take questions. Yeah, so two ways in which it's important. It's important to note that this is a last-minute, I wouldn't call it a sneak attack, because the president openly admitted that he was undermining the Postal Service so that we wouldn't have large-scale absentee and mail-in voting across the country. He made it a partisan issue. He said He was against mail-in voting, and he was undermining the Postal Service so that Democrats wouldn't be able to achieve our priority of making sure that everybody in this country votes. And so this was a last-minute attack by the president and the postmaster general on this presidential election. And by the way, elections everywhere, including our elections here in Connecticut, down the ballot, Congress, state rep, state senator, and municipal races across the state. This injunction is important because the judge understood how urgent this is and how irreparable the harm would be. That's an important legal standard. You have to prove in front of the judge that there will be irreparable harm, which means there's no going back. And so he understands that if this election is compromised and the president is allowed to undermine the Postal Service in the way that he has, the damage will be far-reaching and permanent. And that's why he entered an injunction, a nationwide injunction, to stop the president and the postmaster general from doing what they're trying to do.
How is an injunction like this enforced? Is somebody going to go around and ensure that the Postal Service is acting? And irreparable harm, like you mentioned, it's not going to put that machine back in the Postal Service in Hartford, is it?
So we're continuing to pursue all the relief we're seeking. And, so far we don't, because it just happened an hour ago, we don't have a written order from the judge. So let's see what he says specifically about what's going to happen and what he's ordering. Let me just say that Connecticut's not giving up on anything. And we think that those machines should go back into service. We think they should stop what they're doing. We think they should agree to do everything necessary to deliver the mail, particularly for this election. In terms of enforcement, the court will enforce it. And the president and the postmaster general's actions, if they willfully refuse to follow that order, would be contempt of court. And so we'll seek the appropriate enforcement remedies as necessary. Look, let's hope that in 2020 in America, that the president and the postmaster general and the Postal Service still obey a court order and an order by a federal judge. They know that that's the law. They know they have to do that. And, it would be a very, very tough and difficult and sad day if they don't do that.
Is there a precedent for something like that?
Well, the president has shown that he doesn't have the greatest regard for courts and the judicial process and the rule of law. And so we have to hold him accountable as Americans and make sure that he follows the law.
But I mean, has there been injunctions against a sitting U.S. president?
I think there had been injunctions certainly against an administration. And we, for example, have an injunction that we won last week on the public charge rule in the Second Circuit. So, yes. Anybody else? Thank you. Appreciate it.